I want you to picture something for a second. A player who came into this week without dropping a single set across 4 matches. 4 complete matches on grass. Clean and dominant and moving with a kind of freedom on this surface that I genuinely had not seen from her in years. And then I want you to watch that same player walk off the court in the second set of a final, one game played, physio on court, the crowd quiet, and a tournament that had felt like a fairy tale ending before it even properly began. That is exactly what happened in Bad Homburg this week, and I think we need to sit down and seriously talk about what this means. Not just for Naomi Osaka as a story, but for everything that is now 6 days away at Wimbledon. Because I want to be clear from the jump, this is not just a withdrawal story. This is a story about a body under the most unforgiving kind of pressure, about the cruelest possible timing in professional tennis, and about a player who has been fighting so hard to show the world she is back that the Naomi Osaka we fell in love with is still absolutely in there. And then the grass, of all places, the surface she looked most dangerous on this week, throws this at her. Let me walk you through exactly what happened and why it matters so much more than the score line alone suggests. Osaka came into the Bad Homburg final with real earned momentum. Not gifted momentum, earned. She had not dropped a single set in 4 matches on a grass court, and if you know the surface, you know how rare that kind of consistency actually is. Grass is unpredictable. The ball skids low and fast, the bounce is irregular, and your footwork has to be absolutely precise on every single ball, or the whole thing unravels very quickly. And Osaka was handling all of that beautifully all week, which is honestly why what happened in the final felt so jarring to watch. Karolina Muchova on the other side of the net is a completely different problem from anyone Osaka had faced in the rounds before. The Czech player is ranked number 11 in the world right now, and she is genuinely in one of the finest seasons of her career. At 29, Muchova has figured something out this year, and it shows in everything she does on court. Her forehand, in particular, has become a weapon that is extremely difficult to pattern against. The way she generates topspin through the contact zone with that loose, wristy swing of hers creates a ball that behaves awkwardly off grass because you expect the pace to die just slightly after the bounce, and it does not. It stays hot through the court and it rushes your preparation time by about half a step. That half a step is everything on grass. That is exactly what was happening to Osaka in that first set. She was arriving at the ball just slightly late, and on grass, when you are late, the ball is already past your optimal strike zone before your racket gets there. When that happens, your shots go shorter. They sit up, they invite, and Muchova was punishing every single one of them without mercy. The first set went 6-1, and that scoreline honestly could have been even more one sided if Osaka had not held on to the moments she did. Now, here is the detail that I think most people glossed over because they were focused on the scoreline. There was a medical timeout called during the match, and when the physio came on court, the attention went immediately to Osaka's left ankle, which had been visibly strapped heading into this week. And I want to talk about what a strapped ankle actually means for a tennis player mechanically, because it is not simply about pain, it is about something called the kinetic chain. When you serve in tennis, the energy begins in your legs. It travels up through your hips, rotates through your core, transfers through your shoulder, and fires out through your racket arm at the point of contact. That is the kinetic chain, and every single link in it has to be functioning properly for the serve to generate the pace and spin it needs. The ankle is the foundation of the entire chain. When your ankle is compromised, your leg drive off the ground is reduced, your hip rotation follows and drops off, your shoulder then carries more load than it is designed to handle, and suddenly your racket head speed is down, your first serve percentage drops, your second serve is shorter and safer, and you are in real trouble before the point has even started. I believe this is exactly what was happening with Osaka throughout that final. Not just the pain itself, but the cascading mechanical consequences of that ankle. Her serve was not generating the same pop it had earlier in the week. She was not getting the same explosive push off the ground. And against Mukova, who reads serve patterns brilliantly and returns with real aggression, that loss of power and precision on the first delivery is a serious problem. She held serve for one game in the second set, and I want to give her full credit for that because winning a service game on a compromised ankle against a player in that form takes genuine mental strength and determination. And Ace sealed it, and for just a moment, watching it, I thought maybe she was going to find a way through. But then a break happened quickly after, and the physio was back on court, and then it was done. And I want to say something clearly here because I think the conversation around this needs to be honest. Naomi Osaka withdrawing from a final is not a sign of weakness. It is an athlete making a smart, calculated decision about her own body with 6 days left before Wimbledon. Because that is where the Grand Slam points are. That is where the global audience is. That is where her first round match on the 29th of June is waiting for her. No 500-point tournament trophy is worth walking into Wimbledon with a seriously damaged ankle. From a rankings perspective, let me just quickly break down what this week meant on the WTA point scale. Bad Homburg is a 500-point event. Mukova collected those full 500 today, and that is a genuinely significant boost to her season totals going into the second half of the year. For Osaka, the finalist position still earns meaningful points, not nothing at all, and her entire run this week without dropping a set demonstrated to the rankings and to the rest of the tour that she belongs deep in these draws right now. But the real prize for Osaka was never about the trophy or the points in isolation. It was about the confidence, the form, the grass court movement, the belief that her game genuinely translates to this surface at the highest level right now. And for four full matches this week, she proved exactly that. What worries me going into Wimbledon, and I want to be open about this, is how the ankle responds in the next 6 days. Grass courts are actually one of the softer surfaces on the ankles compared to hard courts. The ball comes through lower, so you're not constantly lunging into wide balls at full stretch the way you do on clay. But grass demands very specific lateral quickness in the first two or three steps of movement, and when your ankle is trapped and tender, those are exactly the steps where you feel it most. One full rest day between today and her Wimbledon first round on the 29th is not a lot of recovery time for a joint issue serious enough to end a final. I am not saying she will not compete at Wimbledon because I believe she absolutely will. But the question the entire tennis world is going to be debating between now and Monday is whether that ankle lets her play with the same freedom that made this week so exciting. Karolina Muchova deserves her own full moment in this conversation because I think the withdrawal narrative is going to overshadow a player who was genuinely brilliant this entire week. Her movement on grass was fluid and intelligent. She was reading angles early and taking the net at exactly the right moments. Her forehand was as clean as anything I have seen from any player in this grass season. And lifting that title today with 500 points heading directly into Wimbledon is the kind of confident statement that should have every player in the draw taking notice. She arrives